Today, I'm going to blow your mind, expand your horizons, push the envelope, if you will. In fact, I'm going to take you to a place where no one has taken you before. And no, I'm not talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about having a 7-month-old baby pee and poo on the toilet. I'll tell you about the what, the why, the how, all in this video. So if you're interested to know more, then keep on watching. Now let us get one thing straight from the beginning. I was extremely skeptical of this concept when I first learned about it, and in fact I remember laughing with my mother for 20 minutes straight because how on earth could this happen? The first time I heard about it was in a video by Mayim Bialik. She is a neuroscientist and also actress in the very famous Big Bang Theory series, and she made a video called How to Never Use Diapers, and I'll put a link to the video down below if you want to watch it. Now what I'm talking about today is called elimination communication, otherwise shortened to EC, and according to Wikipedia, EC is a practice in which a caregiver uses timing, signals, cues, and intuition to address an infant's needs to eliminate waste. Caregivers try to recognize and respond to babies' bodily needs and enable them to urinate and defecate in an appropriate place, i.e. a toilet. This practice made absolutely no sense to me because I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that I would be able to identify the signs. Also, I didn't think I was going to be around my baby 24 hours stuck in a house, but you know, cue a pandemic and a lockdown, and actually these two things have made following this practice a lot easier. Now my whole view about this topic changed when we started baby-led weaning with Harper, and I do have a video where you can watch her have her first week of baby-led weaning. But yeah, the first change when you do that is that the poo transforms from water-soluble angel poop to brownish, ploppable, usually standard fare. The second change that happens is that Harper needs to visibly make an effort when she needs to go to the toilet. It's not as easy as it used to be when she was exclusively breastfed. So once I started paying more attention to these signs is when I realized that, wait a minute, this whole theory about elimination communication could make sense, and that's when I started looking for signs. So in terms of how to actually do elimination communication here, the theory is pretty basic. You literally hold your baby over the toilet when you think it's time for them to go. I'll be inserting a very helpful, hopefully, demonstration using a teddy bear of how to do it because I'm not putting my daughter on the internet when she goes to the toilet. But I think that it's useful for you to see the actual process that we go through because it can be a little bit daunting. In terms of how I specifically went about doing it and my experience with the first time that we did EC, one day I thought I saw the signs, which I'll tell you more about in a second in terms of what they are. I took her leggings down, I unpopped her reusable nappy, and I held her over the toilet. And lo and behold, she went. And she looked so darn satisfied and happy with herself. I couldn't believe it that it worked. And you know, as far as joys of parenting go when you've been stuck in the house for more than 6 months, you know, this is pretty high up there. Like, not having to clean a poo diaper was a game changer. So I told my husband immediately, and I told him to look out for the following signs. The first one is some preliminary farts, and you know, we've all been there. The second one is that she does some crunches and tenses her abdomen. The third one is you see her getting a bit of a red look on her face, so something to look out for. Typically she would interrupt her feeding, and this has been our experience. She kind of interrupts her feeding, her bottle feeding, when she needs to go because she's all of a sudden very distracted. She starts looking around the room and actually wanting to come up and, you know, doing those crunches, and that's a clear sign. Usually after she goes, she's very happy to return to the bottle and finish her feeding in peace. And the last thing to say about it in terms of signs is that once you see these signs, you typically have a good 30-second to a minute window to actually get her ready and go to the toilet to deal with it. So there's that window of opportunity where you can catch it. Now the next day he saw the signs and went ahead and held her over the toilet, and lo and behold, she did it again, and we were ecstatic, and I'm not exaggerating. Now from then on, we of course made a habit to always go to the toilet with her whenever we see the signs, so when it's obvious. But even when it's not obvious, we've taken it a step further and we put her on the toilet every time we change her nappy, and that's roughly 5 to 7 times a day we change her diaper. And you know, 5 out of 7 times she would either pee or poo, which is great. Now one thing to note is that when she doesn't need to go, she will really stiffen her legs and try to stand up on the toilet seat. It's a very, very determined, I don't need to go, I don't want to go. Typically when she needs to go, she's not resisting it at all, so it's a pretty clear sign. But having said that though, there have been instances where initially when we try, she stiffens her legs, we give it a few seconds, we're a bit patient, and then we try again and she goes that second time. You just kind of have to, again, use your intuition, which is a big part of this elimination communication process, and to just see how it goes. Another tip is of course to keep an eye on the clock and see if your baby develops a routine. For us, it was easier to see that she was going at around the same times during the day, so that helped us to develop a habit and to try on those times when we knew more or less that she needed to go. Now for us, we are mostly concerned about catching the poos, and we now have a record of going 3 weeks without cleaning a poo diaper, which is amazing. Now if I wanted to catch the pee as well always, then I would certainly increase the number of times I take her to the toilet, so you can certainly try that. You know, just a simple search on Google, you'll be busy for a while learning about this topic. So we have actually been doing this for 2 months now, and I think we've reached the point clearly where she associates the toilet with going to the toilet, and this really is the goal of this method, is you want them to start having that association, which makes it easier for both baby and the parent. I wanted to take a minute to talk a little bit about the words that we use when we do EC with her, because even though this is very exciting for us as parents, as you can see my enthusiasm, I'm even making a whole video about it. When we talk to her, we actually try to keep our voice and our tone as normal and as level-headed as possible. This is because, you know, going to the toilet is a normal part of everyone's life, and we want to treat it as such. There's no praises or rewards, you know, no one praises or rewards us when we go to the toilet. So we don't say things like, oh my god, you pooped, you're such an angel, oh my god, you're a genius, you're so smart. All of these kind of high-pitched, extra kind of exclamations. If she goes, we simply say, you did it. And if she doesn't, we say, no worries. Similarly, I also talk to her in Romanian, so I'll say something like, ai reușit? Dacă nu faci, îi spun nicio grijă. Now, one last thing on this topic of how we communicate with our kids, I was inspired by an Instagram account called Forest Montessori, and she has an account where she has a post actually dedicated to potty learning. And in this post, she talks about the need for us to react in a very matter-of-fact and free of emotional load way. And she mentions that it's important not to show also any signs of irritation, sarcasm, or disappointment, because children can really sense our lack of support from miles away. Well, of course, as I hinted before, and if it's not clear enough, one of the main reasons to do, or at least to try, elimination communication is that you're saving yourself the time and hassle of cleaning a poo diaper. And for me, that's a pretty good incentive. Realistically, there's no real downside to it. You just, you know, have to pay a little bit more attention to your kid, and also it might take a little bit more time to actually go through this process. But really, there is no obvious downside to it. Now, the other reason that I support EC is because I anticipate it's going to make things a lot easier when we start our potty learning, and that's because she already has this positive association between going to the toilet and eliminating, and that's just going to make our life easier. According to Dr. Maria Montessori, the sensitive period for potty learning is 12 to 18 months. A sensitive period just means it's a time when babies are more inclined or more open, or it's easier for them to learn a certain skill. So 12 to 18 18 months is when it's the sensitive period for potty learning, and you know, we're 9 months now, so I'm very excited for the time to come where we can be diaper free. And now on this topic, I found some research that was really shocking to me. In past generations, most American children were out of diapers by 18 months, and today many kids don't master basic toilet training skills until they're almost 3 years old. Now, I love our reusable nappies, but I'm really keen not to have to use them if we don't have to. Well, if you've made it so far, well done. Just to wrap it up, elimination communication, it really is a way for you to be more in tune with your child's needs and to respond appropriately. It saves time and cleaning, and your child also feels safe and more connected to the parent because they know that their own needs are being listened to. You have really nothing to lose and so much to gain. Now, if you do decide to try it, I wish you a lot of patience. You know, it does take some time to get used to it, and you do need patience, but if you go through that, I promise you the results are going to be so rewarding. So let me know in the comments below if you ever tried it, if you're doing it yourself, or if you're considering trying it after seeing this video. I'd love to hear what your views are. As always, I enjoy having a conversation with you in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.